Thank you for allowing me to be on your agenda. I saw you gentlemen in February, and since then I have a little bit more information I'd like to review with you. I'm here on behalf of Mildred Caldwell, who owns 116 acres on Allen Creek in Washington District. It's map 4. I've got a copy of the map here that I'll leave with you. I've looked at some of the assessments of other property owners nearby. For example, on this tax map 4, the 46-acre tract is assessed the mineral only at $39,670. There's a 46-acre tract right beside it, the 1/2 interest, $3,500. There's a 46-acre tract just up from that, Bruner Land Company, $6,900. There's a 300 and some acre tract owned by Mr. Akers, and one of his assessments is $64,220, but that covers apparently all of his 300 acres. There's several tracts that are listed as Class 2, and from what I can tell from the land books, there's been no increase in the mineral part of the Class 2. One of those is 139 acres, partial 6 on map 4, Fink, $3,500. The Fink property would be closer to this coal mine that was the basis for the increase of the assessment from the state. I also have, and I'd like to present to the commission, an affidavit signed by David Hancock, who's a representative of Coal River Mining, and he states that there's been no mining along Tiny Creek near McCorkle for more than 4 years, and there's no plans whatsoever to open that mine in the near future. I've also prepared this chart that I've highlighted the ones I just referenced in yellow. There's other parcels. Map 3 would be the part that's even closer to Tiny Creek. And here's one, Fuquay's Creek, 32 acres, $7,100. So my frustration is why our property has been assessed much higher than these others. We're willing to pay our taxes. In fact, I have with me, and I'll leave this as part of my record, I have paid, we were here 2 years ago on a similar issue, and the assessments were then raised up to $13,000 on one property and $39,000 on the other. And there was a mistake with the assessor as far as getting it on the books. So it was back taxed this year. I paid both years of back tax. I paid the full year on the 46 acres at the new assessment, $59,000. I paid the full year on that, just to let you all know that we're not tax scofflaws. And I paid the half year on the 70 acres. We paid $2,700 worth of taxes in the last 2 years. 3 years ago, our taxes were about $200 a year. Again, we're here to support all these county services, which I've heard about tonight, but we don't think that our neighbors should not have to pay as well. And I'd like for you to take a look at this map, take a look at my chart. I'm not asking you to make a decision tonight. I have provided copies of this information to Mr. Gabehart, and one of the personnel here suggested that I speak with him. I've also would like to reference the Secretary of State regulations for the State Tax Department. It's talking about the mineral assessment. And this property was classed as T20. But T20 under these regulations, 4.2.3.12, talks about active mine data. This is not an active mine. There's no evidence whatsoever there's any coal being mined now, nor has there been in the last 4 years. If there was coal being mined, I wouldn't be here. I don't have any geological information to dispute that there may or may not be coal under our land, but I do know for a fact that there's never been any mining close by to it other than this mine, which is more than 3 miles away, or approximately 3 miles away. Several property owners in between, most of whom it appears have not had their assessments increased. So we're asking for fair and equal taxation and for a reconsideration. We're willing to compromise. If you would consider compromise, And the amount of money that we've already paid for 2013, we would allow to be kept. We'd ask that you take a look at the second half of the one ticket. Otherwise, we'll just probably have to see you again next February.
So you provided the prosecutor with this information, haven't you?
Yes, sir, I have. He has a copy of the affidavit. He has a copy of this, may I approach?
Sure.
Here's the affidavit. Here's my chart showing comparable properties. Here's my pencil in, I hope you can read my writing, but for example, here's a 70-acre tract that's closer, 70 acres, 1,650. And these are only the mineral assessments. I didn't assess the land or the structures. So we have properties that are contiguous that are much, much lower. So if there is coal there, it's hard for me to believe that the seam stops at our boundary line.
I was thinking, I mean, just off the top of my head, that when this occurred, you have other properties that are T40, right? That are near
No, they
that.
had been T40 before. They went from T80 to T40 3 years ago.
Okay.
We protested that, we compromised it, I just paid that tax, the T40 tax. Paid 2 years worth of it. Now it's T20. I paid T20 2/3 of that. So I think it should go back to T40 because there's nobody can prove to me there's a mine going on out there.
He was here whenever we did this in the spring.
Right.
It wasn't the state, you know.
We went with the state's
We
recommendation.
went with the state's recommendation in the spring.
But the state, if you'll go back, and I've tried to get a copy of that hearing, and I understand Mr. Johnson doesn't work for the commission any longer, but nobody's been able to give me a copy of that tape. The state man said there was coal mine. That's not correct. And in fact, I have a letter that I sent to Mr. Gabehart from the DEP out of Logan acknowledging, stating that there is no mining at that site. And if you wish, I can provide that.
How close is their mining? Is there mining going on within 5 miles of the property? I think that was one of the thumb rules that we use, is how close is the mining?
There's a Mr. Campbell, let's see if I can find the letter from Logan. If I can't find it, I'll be glad to send it to you, who stated in his letter there was no mining within 5 miles.
And was that available, when we talked with you in the spring?
No, sir, it wasn't, and at that time, to be honest with you, I didn't know where Tiny Creek was, and I was quite surprised that there would even be a mine within 5 miles of this property. Tiny Creek's near McCorkle. This property is actually not too far from Tornado over off Coal River, just barely, and it's only like a half a mile from Kanawha County. You go up Allen Creek about 6/10 of a mile, then you hit Coal River Road, you're going out to Tornado. I'm not, but the state fellow said that they had a GIS instrument that could tell you how far things were away. Now, on the other side of McCorkle going towards Madison, I don't know, how far you go before there's coal mining. But I do know that wherever it is, there's a lot of properties that haven't been changed. We were selected for some reason.
This is, the state takes care of this, with regard to mineral. I think what we need to do is contact the state and,
And maybe have them get in touch with the prosecutor and maybe work this out so that we can get something.
so we can get some information from the state, because I don't particularly, I remember you coming in the
Yes, sir.
spring, but I don't particularly remember all of the aspects of the case.
Well, there
And I
was a
would
Mr.
like-
Farmer, and there were several there that day. I mean,
Right.
8 or 10 different properties.
Yes, I'd like.
And they were basically going with what they call their computer analysis.
Right, I'd like to see what they have, and maybe they can talk to our prosecutor about that, and then he can talk to us
That
about
sounds
what they
very fair to me.
present. And I think, is that fair?
Yes, and in the meantime, I'll send Mr. Gabehart a copy of the letter from the DEP out of Logan, because they have jurisdiction
Because,
for
you
Lincoln
know, the
County.
information that we acted upon, you have other information now that we didn't really have available.
That's
to
why I
us
asked
this
to
time.
come.
So, and we really, I think we all agree that the best way to do is let Mr. Gayhart work with you and then and with the,
State.
with the state, then if they give us a recommendation to change it, then that's what we would do, but,
Thank you,
know, I think-
gentlemen.
But I think we'd have to ask them first about it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Do you need a motion to send a request to Mr. Raymore about this, or to the state, to state to review?
I move that we send a letter request to the prosecuting attorney to check into the Caldwell mental issue.
Is there a second?
That's it?
Is that an all yes?
Yes.
All right, we'll do that.
And we need to try to find that tape too.
Yeah,
Take it.
yeah, I know Judy had trouble finding it when she was looking for it. I remember her telling me she was having trouble. Okay, so you found, so all we really all need is transcribed.
Yeah, we don't have anybody to record it. The next on the agenda was the turkey shoot. Mr. McCann asked me to put turkey shoot, yeah, it was David Carter, but we skipped, or we went on earlier, so.
Lincoln Journal.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't forget that, yeah.
Sean.
I know a guy there.
I thought Sean had become a turkey shooter.
I'm sorry, Sean, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's an advertisement in the Lincoln Journal for the fall sports preview. Barb Cummings wants to know if we'd like to participate again this year, and if so, what would you like to put in there? Whatever last year.
That's in the half page yet? Something like that?
What was the last year's half page or
I
something?
think it was a half a page, yes.
Okay, yeah, that'll be fine. So, you want a motion for that?
I move that we, put in an advertisement in Lincoln Journal, half page 8.
There's a motion, a second, is that an all yes?
Yes.
All right. Now we go to turkey.
Now the turkey shoot.
Anyway, we started a few years back, I think about 6 or 7 years ago, when we built the shooting range on the Mud River Dam. Basically, just to encourage youth